What's up, YouTube? Good day to you, everyone. In this video, I just want to sort of talk about something that has been holding me back in my trading for quite some time now, and also the true meaning of actually being teachable, because there will be times where our pride, our ego as humans would want to take over our trading, and we as a result are not able to maximize to the best our skill set, or how good we have grown to be as a trader. So I would say this is a lesson I learned in a bit of a hard way, because one of the major ways I trade is when I'm trading, I look to maximize the move, in terms of I want to try as much as possible to see how far the market can go in my direction. So I don't want to just rush to close my trade, but based off of my strategy and my backtest, the way I trade, my risk to reward is usually a 1 to 3 risk to reward, where I'm risking 1% and I'm making 3%. On that level, I have found that from my backtest and also from my forward testing, my previous trades, I'm much more profitable if I'm taking my profit at a 1 to 3 risk to reward. But there is also a thing with adding to positions, which is like scaling in into your positions, right? So usually when I also scale in into my positions, I scale in extra 1%, and if eventually the first position gets to a 1 to 3, the second position is usually around a 1 to 2, which at the end of the day will give me about a 1 to 5. But here comes where greed, right, often sort of take over my trading, and this has been something I have done for some times, and in terms of holding my position for a period of time, and it has paid off. I've been able to get into trades, and with that trade I'm seeing some 1 to 8. I've been able to take some trades 1 to 11 on a scaling position. My biggest so far is a 1 to 11, which is on a scaling position. But now the understanding of trading as a whole is that you need to understand that you having a sort of home run is not something that will happen every day. It's not something that you will always see on the chart. It's not something that will happen all the time. There will be days where you are going to give back profit. There will be days. So what I'm just marking out here are the positions that I've taken of recent, and I want to talk about how most of these trades I eventually gave back all of the literally all of the profit for the most of them. So the where the issue comes around is me not letting myself understand that with trading there are times for you to hold your trade, and then there are times for you to fold. There are times where you have to close your trade and accept whatever the market has given you, right? There are times where you also need to run, where you just take the profit you have and then move on with it, right? And so, and also of recent, I've taken quite a few number of losses as well. I took a win from here. So what I also do is, the way I trade, I follow the trend much more. If I see a breakout, I want to continue to trade in the direction of that breakout. If I see a very strong trend, I just want to keep following that trend rather than going against it. but there are some times where I have a contrarian feeling where I want to go against the trend, because I just sort of, based off of my strategy, I said, well, I have this sort of like feeling that the market is going to turn around at a particular point. But at the end of the day, it's just for you to be willing and be ready to accept the risk that you are putting in, right? So then I took another one here where it eventually was a loss. So this so usually most of my trades are 1 to 3. I think I took another loss, which I took another loss here. After going into some profit, eventually stopped me out for a 130. So quickly, what I want to explain is, you notice that this first trade is quite a big one, 1 to 8 risk to reward, right? And this is the illusion where that sometimes trading can give us, because when we have some sort of like very good home run like this, our brain start thinking that we would always have an home run, or we will always have a home run, that all of your trades will always be 1 to 8 or a 1 to 12. But based off of your strategy, right, your actual winning trades are a 1 to 3. And if you're actually taking your 1 to 3s with the use of compound effect, you take 1 to 3, say on a span of like 10 trades, you are overall extremely profitable. And this is what I have now decided to resort to, because looking at my recent results in this year, January and February, I've seen some good move. Overall, I'm pretty much, I would say I'm in some profit, about over on my account, I'm in some profit of over 5%. But based off of my strategy, what I should have been getting is, altogether from January and February, I should be up about 16%. But I'm up just 5%, because what do? I give back most of the profit that I take. So on this trade, right, I was able to get into the trade early. It was a good ride. I kept on holding it, and eventually after news came out on pound, I saw multiple weak rejections on the 15 minutes time frame. Let me scroll. On the 15 minutes time frame, I immediately exited my trade, and I would say in a way I was sort of like lucky in this trade, because number one, I didn't add another position. I didn't scale in. That is one of the disputes of this trade, right? I didn't scale in into this trade. I was holding for too long, in as much as you see that market was sort of like in an uptrend. Like I said, sometimes I feel like I want to be a contrarian, and it has paid off sometimes it has been bad. So on the next trade, right, this trade was in profit at a point. I held on Monday and then held through to Tuesday. Based off of my strategy, I should have moved my stop loss, like keep trailing, or eventually close out at a 1 to 3. But what did I do? I kept on holding, and I started looking for confirmations that will put in line of me to keep on holding, right? Eventually the trade stopped me out for, I think, about a 1 to 1, because I trailed my stop loss to this point. I trailed my stop loss to that point, and I just left it. And even though when I saw this V-shaped reversal and an immediate break and a retest with strong momentum at 8 a.m., which is London Open, I still refused myself, right? I refused myself to see that, which obviously a lot of this is now in hindsight, but the reality of it was, I was seeing it when it was all playing out, but I blinded myself to it because of my emotions. I kept on looking for confirmations that would say, okay, this market is going to go back. So when I saw this break and then it came back down, I felt like, okay, this structure has now been. But at the end of the day, right, I gave back 4% of profit. I gave it back all for 1%. This other one, okay, it was a good trade. I closed out for about 3.7 because CPI came out on this day and it was a quick flash. I usually don't use a TP on news days. I like to just close out the trade because of the momentum. You get, sometimes we could get lucky, it could go extremely crazy in our direction, and then some days it could not go too much, so you will need to like be there, be active to execute your trades, right? And if you also notice that these 3 trades, right, they are in a way against this trend, right? Because the trend has been changing. We have been seeing consistent higher highs on the higher time frame, and I'm just trading into the retracement. You also notice that after my trades have been taken out, you will definitely often see an immediate reversal, which is often also aggressive afterwards. So on this trade, it was a break-even trade because it was a 1 to 2. It didn't get to 1 to 3. After I see my trade go to 1 to 2 into profit, I move my stops into break-even, and then eventually this one stopped me out. So I was in profit of about 2%. Eventually got stopped out for 0, which is fine because it didn't get to 1 to 3. So moving forward, yeah, same thing goes for this trade as well, right? I got into this trade. I even scale in at this point. I added another position at this point, and my overall target was me looking at, just a second, I'd moved stop loss into break even, and then my overall target was like, okay, market should go to the next psychology level. But at the end of the day, I felt like this was being too greedy, right? Because market going to the next psychology level, was it valid? Maybe, maybe not, because this was the zone I should be looking out for. But even at the highs, right, when market was here, first trade was at about 1 to 2, then the second trade was about the 1 to 2 as well. So at the end of the day, I still got a 1 to 3 plus on the scaling, but I gave back all the profit, right? I eventually let the market come stop me out at break even on this one. And okay, this was a different one. I got stopped out on this one, stopped out for a loss after about a 1 to 2. Stopped out for a break even. And this one too, same thing, right? I got into a very good buy trade. I added a position at the break of this highs. When market broke this high and then on a retest of it, I got into another position, right? I got into another position, and my target was this highs, right? Because if you look to the left, there was a zone at that high initially, and while I kept on waiting, I kept on holding for this trade to get to this zone, right? When I started seeing signs of reversals around this area, even at this first area, all of my trades were already above. The first entry was above 3% in profit. This is about 3.6, and the second entry was in profit of about 1.5. So altogether, I was seeing profit of about almost 4.5%. But at the end of the day, I gave back all of these 4.5% profits for a 2.5. After I moved my stop loss below this area, I got stopped out the next morning, and yeah, market still retraced low and eventually got to hit my position, my TP area. But then I would have gotten into another new trade probably if I had a setup the next day, or just let it run and then take this other trade, which we then out of. What I was looking at was that when I was in this trade, my account, I was about to pass, and I just need about 10 pips more for the market to move in my direction, and I will have passed. But eventually that didn't happen. I gave back all of the profit as well. Same thing for these two. I was in profit, very good profit in fact, because like I said, I like to scale into my positions. When I'm in profit, I scale in based off of structure. I don't just scale in for no reason. So I didn't scale in on this initial break because we didn't have a retest, but then I scale in on this break and a retest, And yeah, what happened again? Similar thing. My target was okay, market should come to this high, but it didn't. And at a point, right, this trade was up about 2.8 and this trade was up about 1.1.25. 2.8 plus 1.25 at the end of the day, that's about a total of 4%. And while I was seeing this 4% profit, right, my account was at 9% to get past, because it's an FTM account, and I needed just about 11 pips more for it to go in my direction. This is where the psychology of humans and the emotions comes in, because I feel like market that has pushed so strong this way should push strong for just 11 more pips, and it didn't. It went all the way back down to stop me out, because I was in profit of about 4%. I ended up giving back all that profit, and then I got stopped out, because eventually this position got stopped out for at break even, and there's this one got stopped out for I think about barely a 1.5 after about 4% in profit. So does this get into my head? Not so strongly, but it does, right? Because the way I see it is that okay, on the days where this play out so well, I'm able to get 7%, 6%, whatever. But the reality of it is I am underperforming my strategy, right? I've been underperforming my strategy for some time now, and the growth that I'm supposed to have, I'm not getting it. And I'm making this video also to inform or to let anyone out there that is probably going through what I'm going through to understand that it is best for you to trade your strategy. Trade exactly how your strategy is, number one. And number two is also let compound effects come in your favor, because all of these add up, right? All of these add up and they mess up my win rate. My win rate is usually around 50 to 60%. If I go to my data, my win rate now is around 40, 45, 47%, right? And this can really get emotional sometimes, but it's also best because of the stage I am currently in my trading. I've resulted to being okay to like give profit back, but at the same time, right, the compound effect that is supposed to be in my favor for when the momentum will then come in, I'm not letting it play out. So going forward, I've resulted to taking my profits at about 3% when I'm in profit of about 3% plus. And this will also be both positions, right? Once I had this my first position and then I scale in my second position, once I'm saying about profit of 3% and above, I'm taking my profit and I'm leaving the chart no matter what the market is going to do, because at the end of the day there will be opportunities every day if your strategy says so, right? Because for me, I don't get to trade every day based off of my strategy. There are weeks that I'm able to get 4 trades, 5 trades. There are some weeks that I only take 1 trade. So to sort of like round this video up, right, going forward into the year, I've seen that how I trade and my approach to trading really does work, but I need to cut down on the side of me underperforming my strategy, because to be very realistic, right, 3% here, 3% here, 3% here and there on 4-5 trades, at the end of the day it does add up, rather than looking for a massive home run which probably will never come. And the days even when the home run comes, your strategy does not present an opportunity for you to get into the trade. Because for example, I was anticipating to look into getting buy trades on GBP USD from last week, and at the end of the day I didn't get an opportunity to take a buy today, this morning, because what was I looking out for? I was looking for a retest of this structure and then for us to go to the upside. So when that didn't happen this morning, when I woke up, I started looking at the chart at around about 7 o'clock. I saw this inverse head and shoulder formation, right? And after 8 o'clock candle opened, I saw that there was no follow through, because after this bearish engulfing candle, the previous candles, that the preceding candles rather, were not, there was no follow through, there were no strong push to the downside. And I sort of had this feeling that maybe buyers are going to step in. Eventually we saw buyers step in at 9 o'clock, but when they stepped in extremely aggressively, that the whole day became a trending day. So I was looking to get into a trade upon a retracement of this candle, because the way one of my entry criteria is, when I see very strong strength like this on a day, I want to see at least about a retracement of like close to half of the candle, and this is something I have really back tested over and over again. Or worst case scenario, on the cycle where there is like a deep retracement on the psychology level closest to it. So none of that happened, and then I missed out on more than 100 pips, which is like massive home run, right? Based off of my strategy of using 20 pips or thereabout, and massive home run of about 1 to 5. And there were no much opportunities to scale in, but when market came back into the structure, obviously I would have gotten into another position, and the scaling would have been amazing, right? And at the end of the day, this is also in hindsight. Am I paying that I missed out all of this good move? Absolutely not. Why? Because my strategy was not there. I was not presented with any reason for me to take a trade today. So at the end of the day, it's just best. So on the double, based off of my plan that I have, this is a 1 to 5. This is a 1 to 4, right? But market didn't do not any of that, and that's it. The rest of the week is still going to be a great week. There is still so many opportunities that are going to come in the week, and all I just have to do is prepare myself, right? And I'm not going to be getting too greedy with my trading anymore. Once I see my 1 to 3, in addition with my scaling position, I take my profit and I let compound effect come in my favor, because I'm in a stage where I want to scale it. I want to scale up. So I'm building capital. I'm not in a phase in my trading where I have like tons of capital to play around with. Yeah. So that's it for this video, guys. I hope that this makes sense to someone. I hope that it brings some light to your trading. Going forward, this is what I'll be doing for myself, and this is how I have found that it's going to be much more beneficial for me to trade and to go forward in my trading. This video is a little bit of a long one, but I believe and I that there is value in it. So thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you. Peace.